S.P.D. Emergency! Here's your look at the Hasbro Power Rangers Lightning Collection S.P.D. Pink Ranger. Sydney has the enhanced genetic ability to alter her molecular structure, including forming the Fist of Iron as an S.P.D. Pink Ranger. The S.P.D. Pink Ranger toy includes multiple character-inspired accessories and swappable heads, one of the Ranger inner helmet and one without. Before we get down to the review of the Lightning Collection S.P.D. Pink Ranger, I figure the first thing we're going to want to do is get this one clocked in. Not necessarily by how fast she's traveling, but how tall the figure actually stands. To do this, I'm going to actually take the tape measure right to the very top of her head, and I'm going to stop it right there. While I am doing this, I'd like to as well thank the folks over at Hasbro that provided the sample of the S.P.D. Pink Ranger that we're having a look at in this review. The S.P.D. Pink Ranger stands 5.8 inches in height. Switching that quickly to centimeters, you're looking at a figure that's almost 15 centimeters, 14.9 to be exact. For some size comparison, seeing as we've already had a look at him, we can move over the S.P.D. Pink Ranger, and we can bring in the Zeo Green Ranger. Now, clearly there is a size difference between the two. The Zeo Green Ranger is going to be a little bit taller, but don't let the size fool you. The S.P.D. Pink Ranger is still a pretty cool looking figure, especially when we look at the accessories that come included with her. And speaking of accessories, Hasbro has done it again by packing these Lightning Collection Power Rangers with a whole slew of series-specific accessories. We'll start first perhaps with what I feel to be the most crucial of things. She comes included with the S.P.D. Delta Morpher, the small little morphing device that they use to transform into, of course, the S.P.D. Rangers. Now, this has been painted perfectly in silver. I do think that even like how clear that S.P.D. is printed on the front, flip it around, you can see the nice silver done on the back there. I feel like this was done in a different color of plastic because it does look like this has been painted silver, and that's not necessarily a fault at all. I think the silver does really enhance this. Short of the fact that the flashers don't actually flash, it's, again, a nice little cool trinket to come included with the figure. Sadly, though, she doesn't really have the proper means to hold it. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. She comes included with what I felt would be the best hand for holding the Delta Morpher. Unfortunately, though, while it does do a pretty good job of holding around her thumb, the fingers along the top I feel don't do nearly the right job to hold that properly in place. What I might just end up doing is maybe taking a hot water bath. No, not me. But actually putting the hand of this Ranger in the hot water to see if I can soften up the plastic just a little bit, that I can actually bend those fingers in, because I think what I want to do is bring these fingers in just a little bit more than what they are right now, because I don't feel like the grip is just clampy enough. Is that what we want to use to describe this? Clampy enough to hold properly that Delta Morpher in her hand. For the time being, what I've certainly done as a workaround is that the figures already have the gripping hands on either side of her hands. She does also come with a closed fist, but, well, let's admit it. How exciting really is the closed fist? I know certainly when it comes to these figures having as many accessories as they do, you really want to be using those gripping hands. And for, like I said, for the time being, you can take the Delta Morpher and you can fit it into her hand just like that. I know, again, it's not really the best hand for the job. This is the hand I feel like is the best suited for the Delta Morpher, but as it stands right now, it just doesn't hold it properly well enough. Having a look at the other accessories that come included with the figure, I'm just going to put her down for a second here. She comes with a couple of different component pieces for the Delta Max Striker. Starting first with sort of the trigger end of things. Let's actually have it facing the right way. You can see here it's been molded nicely in a black plastic with accented areas in silver and that cranberry red. May hopefully be able to show you guys that up at the top there, they've even branded. And again, keeping in mind how small this is, there is actually S.P.D. printed along the top. You see there on both sides. Now, this can be holstered in the side of the figure's belt compartment. Let me just bring up the arm. There's a little section here holstered on the side. There's actually two sections, but this is for the baton part of that. But you take the main piece here, and this just clips over this little hook. And then from there, it just tucks down into this. You can see as she holds it this way or holsters it this way. The one thing you will want to be careful though is this little clip piece right here. At least it's made of a soft enough plastic, but I know taking this off a couple of times, I bent this already, but luckily it seems to go back to normal. But again, like I said, this is a softer plastic, so just be careful of that. Putting the figure down again, looking at the other parts for the Delta Striker. She does come with the two variations of the baton. Now, one is a longer blade than the other, but it seems like the hilts are exactly the same. Painted nicely in this shinier black paint. Again, you've got the introduction there of the crimson red added in there as well. The baton part of it, the actual beam blade, as you can see, isn't necessarily a translucent plastic, but it does seem to have almost like an illumination going for it. I like that. I got like, it seems like a little bit of like stickiness here. Probably was what was left of the tape that was holding the baton part of this still in its plastic prison. I'm going to see if I can take that off a little bit. But what you can actually do is take the trigger part, the actual handle part of the Delta Max Striker, flip it around, and of course making sure you got it going the right way. And you can take either one of the baton parts and just, there's this little canal right here. Take the handle portion of it and just fit it down in place like that. Whoops, just fit it down in place like that. And there's two variations to that as well. So if you want to have the longer one, you can do that as well. Just pop this off, fit this back in place. Yeah, you can also turn it the other way around as well, but I think it goes down. Just pop it back in place like that. And like I said, there's two variations of the Delta Max Striker. I really like that. And again, you can take this and you can also fit this into her hand as well. Spinning this around. Actually hold it like that. Or I guess you can also hold it like this when she's got the baton portion going. But again, like if you wanted to, just bring her arms up, detach these two parts, and the shorter baton part actually fits into this holster. You technically could go the longer one as well, but just when you are fitting it in place, just know it's going to obstruct when it comes to moving her legs, especially when you split the legs this way. You don't want that longer beam sticking further down. The other thing that she also comes included with, I know I keep putting the figure down here, is that she also comes with like a blast effect. I really like this a lot. I like the fact that they did add the little glitter to the pink plastic. And don't worry though, if you are somebody that is running around with blast effects, I don't know why you would be running around with blast effects, but if you are running around with blast effects, just know it's a softer plastic. So you're not going to fall and hurt yourself on these. But there is a little slot. It's almost even hard to see. It's right in the bottom here, a little kind of canal in there. And what that can do is just take the end of the blade and that just fits just on the end like that. I think that's really neat, the fact that they would incorporate this. Again, if you wanted to, you can completely leave it off in its entirety. I mean, judging by how much I like this already, I might actually see if I can use this for another figure. Again, really like that. The last thing she comes included with, and I'll sort of just drag everything off to the side, is that she also comes included with the Sydney head sculpt, which we'll have a look at right now. Really nice paint job here, I will say, on Sydney's head sculpt. Got the big smile there. She got the little rosy cheeks. Even the coloring on her eyes is super sharp as well. Sometimes our eyes specifically can be a little bit more difficult to pull off just because they're so small. But you can see there's a little bit of the reflection there, the pupil painted in her eyes there as well. It seems like I've got just a little hair. I thought there was a little scratch across the eye, but they have airbrushed some eyeshadow in there as well. Just again, it's a nice looking head sculpt. And the neat thing again about these, which we talked about when we looked at the Zeo Green Ranger, is if you just pop the head sculpt off, don't worry, we'll go back to that head sculpt in a second, pop this head sculpt in place, there we go, and then you can actually take the helmet and hold it in her hand. Even though these hands really aren't the best suited for holding the helmets, sometimes what I've done in the past is just sort of clip that onto the ridge of the helmet, and sometimes that stays in place as well. But that's the two different head sculpts that you can work with. Swapping Sydney's portrait out now for the S.P.D. helmets, we can get a closer look at that. I've always been a big fan of the sleek design of the S.P.D. helmets in the show. Now, when they would be morphing over, these would be flashing on either side of their helmets. They obviously can't pull that off for a figure, so they did the next best thing. They painted that in a crimson red, outlined nicely and cleanly, I might add, in that silver, which sort of serves as a chin guard that stretches across what normally would be on a Power Ranger, the mouth area, but the SPD suits don't tend to have that. They've just got the little silver area down below where the mouth would normally be. The black shiny paint that they've applied to the visor, again, very cleanly applied. The only thing I would say here for the helmet is the little badge, not so little, right on top of that. It's been sculpted in there, but unfortunately lacks all the paint to bring those details to the forefront. If you want to see really what that should look like, you can look no further than actually the patch that's located on the side of her arm. You can see the additional panel lining that goes around the area of the dog shape, which is there, but unfortunately without the panel lining, it gets lost. You can see there's sculpting going on there, but that black lining has been left off completely. Going back, though, again, to the cleanness of that patch that's on her arm, I think it was probably applied as a sticker. No way that was likely painted, or they probably pressed it, and that was their way of actually being able to keep that clean. The same thing actually applies for her badge, the S.P.D. Very clean and easy to read. The paint on this is really sharp, except for one point. If you look at the head, for example, you've got the very stark white. Yeah, there are a few little areas where you can see the seam where the molding of the figure was put together. There's a little bit of the black and a little bit of pink peeking its way through. But right here, right stretching down, dividing the black from the pink, there is a white band. A white band, I feel they probably could have applied a second coat of it, because unfortunately, the end result is you can see the black that's bleeding through between the two halves. See it right there. It's the only thing I think on the figure that probably could have used this second coat. All the rest of the paint on the figure is actually really super clean. The thing on the belt, for example, and again, I think this is molded silver plastic. It's very unlikely they probably would have gone in there and painted it. The silver plastic actually looks like it was painted. The badge on the front, as you can see there, says S.P.D. Probably a little harder to make out than further up here on the badge. Again, like all of this is mostly molded plastic. The pink has been the main base coat, and then what they've just done is the arm here is probably, this is molded black plastic, but obviously here on the torso, this is paint. And again, I feel like these are applied, not decals necessarily, but printed decals. They're not supposed to like peel off or anything like that. But I like the molding though done to the belt. A few little compartments there on the side. I already showed you where the baton and the actual piece of the Delta striker can actually go inside there. And again, you got some nice detailing done on the backs of the boots. Silver and the black, very cleanly applied. Yeah, a few little areas, but for the most part, not too bad at all. And like similar to what we looked at when we looked at the Zeo Green Ranger, all of, I believe, these Lightning Collection Power Rangers have peg holes on the undersides of their feet. Sort of adding a little bit onto that, it would have been nice if Hasbro had also included display stands to make them unique to the series that these figures are pulled from. In a case here, you would have had S.P.D. The previous case of the Green Power Ranger, it would have been Power Rangers Zeo, but it would have been, again, nice that they would have included display stands. So when you are standing these figures up, it gives a little more higher level of prestige to these characters as part of course, the Lightning Collection that Hasbro are producing. Let's go ahead and run through the articulation now on the S.P.D. Pink Ranger. The head rotates all the way around. As I'm moving this around, you can probably see there's the hinge joint right there. So not only do you get the afforded ball joint working in your favor, but the hinge joint also allows the head to move down and up. Just gives you a little extra wiggle space to work with. The head tilts also back and forth this way. And similar to when we looked at the Zeo Green Ranger, she does also have the shoulder crunch. Little shoulder joint in there as well. I like, again, the fact they finished and continued that striping of white. So when you are moving the arm, whether it's inward or it's to its fullest extent out, at least it looks finished. And there's not a big gap of color where the white isn't continued. I like that. I appreciate that little touch of detail like that. The arms rotate all the way around. No matter what arm you decide to go with, rotate the exact same way. She doesn't have necessarily the swivel in her bicep. However, what she does do instead is that her forearm rotates all the way around, and you can also hinge that back and forth. Single hinge here for the S.P.D. Pink Ranger. The hands rotate all the way around. You can also hinge those back and forth. She has an upper torso ball joint. She has a lower torso crunch. Doesn't have a waist swivel. Sort of that gets forfeited in favor of the crunch. Her legs split out. And again, just moving these arms up so you can see quickly here. Being that they are using softer plastic for these holsters, one good thing about that is that when you are moving the legs out, these bend as well. They go along with it. Again, the only thing you will want to be careful is putting the longer baton. I guess really you would want to avoid the shorter baton if you're going to be doing the splits with the Power Rangers, especially when you've got the longer blade sticking out like this. That would definitely warp if you are doing the splits with her. Anyways, the legs go forward and back. She has a swivel 3/4 of the way up the thigh. She has a double hinge on the knee. She does have boot swivel as well, and I like that. I like that they hid that to go along with the banding of the silver and the black. She does have a hinge joint back and forth on the feet, and she does also have an ankle pivot as well. And there's nothing wrong at all with an ankle pivot. Here in the final looks of Lightning Collection S.P.D. Pink Ranger, I did resort to using a display stand provided by another company, just to show you at least, even though Hasbro unfortunately didn't pack display stands with these figures, at least they do have universal peg holes on the undersides of their feet. So if you do have those display stands, you know those ones that are just sitting on your desk, collecting dust, not having a planned purpose at all, you can make use of those display stands and display them along with your Lightning Collection. Again, it's a bit of a shame that they didn't include display stands. The idea of getting lightning bolt shaped display stands does sound kind of cool to be displayed along with these figures, but at least Hasbro does make up for it with a whole slew of accessories. Between both the Zeo Green Ranger that we just looked at and now the S.P.D. Pink Ranger, clearly you can see Hasbro is making up for the fact of missing display stands by packing these figures with not only a ton of cool series-specific accessories, but in a lot of cases, blast effects as well. I'm not really sure I'm going to use the blast effect for the baton here for the Pink Ranger, but again, I appreciate the fact that they included it in the first place. Paint on this one is really quite clean, except for that one stripe of white down the front of the torso. Unfortunately, it just had to be the case where black was underneath it because the black does bleed through, which that they could have applied a second coat of paint. But all the rest of the paint is really sharp and clean and pristine, and I'm liking the look of the S.P.D. Pink Ranger. Again, a big thank you to the folks over at Hasbro that provided the sample of the Lightning Collection S.P.D. Pink Ranger that we had a look at in this review. These Lightning Collection Power Rangers should be available right now online and in various retail stores as well. If you guys are new to this channel and enjoying all the content you're seeing and digging the fact that we're now doing Power Rangers reviews, I like Power Rangers like the next guy, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, turn the bell notification on, and yeah, come back to this channel Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and even, yes, Friday, because we always have new videos popping up at 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And don't fear, don't fret, just know we are going to be looking at some more Power Rangers reviews lined up and coming soon to a monitor and I guess portable device near you, because some people don't really watch YouTube anymore on their big monitor. I do. Some people generally watch it on their phone. So big and small, big monitors, small devices, there's tons of videos coming your way. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.